we're watching what's going on in crypto here this morning for that action.
Yeah, and it's always a strange story to piece together. Why is anything happening in crypto? Some data out that we have, I think almost $1 billion worth of shorts being forced to cover. Of course, there was also that news from FTX dropping on a Sunday morning, as usual, lowering their leverage limits from 100x to 20x. And here we have a nice big short squeeze, I guess we can call it that, in cryptos to start the week. Bitcoin up 13%, closing in again on 40,000.
And then there was some speculation out of Amazon. And we talked about this morning because when you get these kinds of speculation, it's like, what's the source of this? Is it real? Apparently, Coinbase actually picked this up last week, that there was a job posting on Amazon that had to do with crypto. And so that then leads to speculation of what it can mean.
I think it's fine. Right, it's fine. Like, Amazon is exploring hiring someone to lead their exploration of digital assets. If that's worth 13% in Bitcoin, who am I to disagree?
Sure, a lot of things are worth 12 or 13% in Bitcoin.
Sure.
Saz, what do you think here?
No, it was a very important point that Miles brought up here. So $940 million worth of crypto shorts have been liquidated today. That is according to BYB.com, who tracks this data in real time. We're seeing a lot of really strong pre-market moves here. Riot Blockchain up over 17%, Marathon Digital up over 17%, Coinbase up over 6%. But guys, ultimately, who this might be good for, and talk about perfect timing, is the Robinhood IPO. 17% of their transaction-based revenue comes from crypto. So talk about timing here.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, but talk about timing. Like with Bitcoin, it all seems quite arbitrary, doesn't it, at various points? I mean, I'm sure if Jared was here, unfortunately, he
called the bottom.
He's off today. But yes, he did, but he looks at the charts and sees more, perhaps, logic, rationale, reason when he reads into the charts. But as a layperson looking at it, it doesn't seem to be driven by much of anything fundamental.
I mean, and that's fine, but I think to speak to the chart specifically with Bitcoin, I mean, we have talked on this program for 3 months now about Bitcoin being price range, or range bound rather, between 30 and 40,000, give or take. And we've seen 29,000 at some times. I don't think we've actually seen a 41,000 print in some time, but 38,000. Still in that range, still kind of deciding, I think, Bitcoin is the overall direction of the trend, because right now it remains flat. And I think if you want to be a long-term bull in Bitcoin, you can say there's nothing that concerns me here. If you're a bear in Bitcoin, maybe you also believe that there's nothing that's so concerning. Now, granted, if you lost $8,000, let's say, on your short position or something overnight, you might be more concerned. But as that chart, I think, made clear, since we saw that $60,000 top on Bitcoin, we haven't had a lot of direction on what the next major move is. And I go back to the way Coinbase described it in their S1. They said we've seen 4 major price cycles, and we believe we're in the 4th. Well, is the 4th over? Like, are we going higher here? Are we going to consolidate for another 18 months before, Sal, we talk 6 figures on Bitcoin, right?
And 2 potential near-term catalysts this week. Amazon, when they report earnings, is Andy Jassy on this earnings call? And do they talk about Bitcoin?
All right.
It's all driven by sentiment. And secondarily, when Tesla reports tonight, how much Bitcoin is on the balance sheet?
Do you think if you're an analyst that you're going to spend your first question to Andy Jassy on Bitcoin?
It could be one of his first big moves.
Maybe
I would. I'm willing to go back on there. Take one for the team.
It's valuable real estate as an analyst, asking the head of AWS coming in to lead all of Amazon, how are you thinking about this, that, the other? I would be shocked if someone
But you could be the analyst that breaks that news, and you can title your own research report. I mean, that is huge. That's big.
Maybe it would be your first question. Maybe once they get a little bit lower down in the queue, maybe it'll be somebody's question. Right. One more thing, just as we look at Bitcoin and think about sort of animal spirits here. If you're somebody who was thinking, do I want to get into Bitcoin? And you see the drop and then the recovery, maybe that's the thing that tells you as a retail investor, maybe you're thinking, well, maybe all these Bitcoin bulls were right.
Well, that's what our editor-in-chief Andy Sura wrote about in the week, and we'll talk more with him about it later. But now is the time to get into Bitcoin. And how do you do it? How do you play it?
Right.
Hasn't it always? It's always the time to get in Bitcoin. If you're a believer.
It's like gold.
It's like stocks.
Yeah.
It's always the time to buy. It tends to go up.